Welcome to the family. If you enjoy powerful stories and wild adventures, subscribe now, hit like and share with someone who will love it too. The research vessel Nexus Dawn drifted silently through the void, its hull gleaming under the distant light of an alien star. Within its sterile corridors, Dr. Veltar examined the latest specimens with cold, analytical eyes. The Kethmaran scientist had dedicated his career to studying the physiology of primitive species, but none had proven as intriguing as the bipedal creatures from the third planet of a yellow star system. Humans, he whispered to himself, manipulating the holographic display showing the captured subjects. 3 specimens lay unconscious in containment pods: a young male construction worker named Tom, a female botanist called Lisa, and an elderly man named Bill who had been a retired soldier. The Kethmaran had selected them for their diverse age ranges and occupations, believing it would provide a comprehensive sample of human capability. Veltar's elongated fingers danced across the control panel as he prepared his latest experiment. For months, he had been testing various enhancement serums on lower life forms, trying to unlock the secrets of rapid biological adaptation. The results had been promising but limited. Now, with these human subjects, he believed he could finally achieve a breakthrough. Computer, begin recording. Test subject designation, Human Prime Alpha. Veltar's voice echoed through the laboratory as he focused on Tom, the youngest and most physically robust of the 3. Administering experimental compound designation K47. Hypothesis, enhanced. Cellular regeneration and muscular development will occur within standard time parameters. The serum glowed with an eerie blue-green phosphorescence as it flowed through the injection tube into Tom's arm. Veltar had synthesized it from the genetic material of several apex predators from different worlds, combined with nanoscale biotechnology designed to accelerate evolutionary processes. In his previous tests on primitive mammals, the compound had produced moderate strength increases and improved healing rates. What Veltar didn't understand was that human DNA was far more complex and adaptable than anything he had encountered before. Where other species had rigid genetic codes that resisted modification, human genetics were remarkably plastic, shaped by millions of years of surviving in diverse and hostile environments. Tom's vital signs spiked momentarily as the serum entered his bloodstream, then stabilized at levels that made Veltar's eye stalks twitch with confusion. The human's cellular activity was increasing at a rate that seemed impossible. Within the first hour, microscopic changes were already visible in the tissue samples. Veltar extracted. Fascinating, the alien scientist murmured, his excitement growing. The subject's muscle fibers are reorganizing themselves with unprecedented efficiency. Bone density is increasing by measurable amounts. This exceeds all projected parameters. As night cycles passed aboard the ship, Veltar continued his observations with growing amazement and concern. Tom's body was not just adapting to the serum, it was weaponizing it. The human's immune system had embraced the foreign compound and was using it to trigger evolutionary changes that should have taken generations to manifest. By the 3rd day, Tom's muscle mass had increased by 30%. His bone structure had become denser and more resilient. Most alarming of all, his brain activity showed patterns that suggested dramatically enhanced cognitive function. The human was evolving in real time, and Veltar was beginning to realize he might have made a terrible mistake. The alien scientist's mandibles clicked nervously as he reviewed the data. Every projection suggested that the changes would continue accelerating. In his arrogance, he had assumed that humans were just another primitive species to be studied and catalogued. Now, watching Tom's body transform itself into something beyond baseline human capabilities, Veltar felt the first cold touch of fear. What had he unleashed? Tom's consciousness returned slowly, like swimming up from the depths of a dark ocean. The first thing he noticed was that everything felt different. His body hummed with an energy he had never experienced before, as if every cell was charged with electricity. When he opened his eyes, the dim lighting of the alien laboratory seemed as bright as daylight, and he could make out details that should have been impossible to see. The restraints that held him to the examination table felt flimsy, though he knew they had been designed to hold beings far stronger than baseline humans. Tom tested them carefully, amazed at the power he could feel coiled in his muscles. With what felt like minimal effort, the metal clasps bent and snapped. "What the hell?" Tom whispered, sitting up and examining his hands. They looked the same, but he could feel the strength in them, could sense the dense muscle fibers beneath his skin. His hearing had become so acute that he could detect the faint breathing of his fellow captives in their nearby pods. And something else, the rapid, panicked chittering of his captor somewhere in the ship. Dr. Veltar burst into the containment area just as Tom was standing up, his movements fluid and controlled despite the dramatic changes to his physiology. The Kethmaran Scientists 4. Arms waved frantically as he spoke into a communication device. "Alert the containment team. The human subject has achieved consciousness ahead of all projections. Increase security protocols immediately." Tom turned toward the alien, and Veltar stumbled backward at what he saw. The human's eyes held an intelligence that burned with predatory intensity. This was no longer the simple construction worker who had been abducted from Earth. This was something new, something evolved. "What did you do to me?" Tom's voice was calm, but there was an undertone that made Veltar's exoskeleton crawl. The human took a step forward, moving with the grace of a born hunter. I administered an enhancement serum designed to improve your species' limited capabilities," Veltar stammered, backing toward the exit. "The results exceeded all expectations." Tom laughed, a sound that held no humor. "Enhanced? You have no idea what you've done, do you?" He looked at his hands again, flexing his fingers experimentally. "I can hear your heart beating from across the room. I can smell the fear pheromones you're releasing. I can see in spectrums that didn't exist for me a week ago." The alien's mandibles clicked in distress as he continued backing away. "The changes should stabilize within the standard parameters. Your aggression levels will return to baseline once the integration process is complete." Stabilize. Tom's enhanced hearing picked up the approach of the alien security team, their heavy footsteps echoing through the ship's corridors. "You don't understand. Humans don't stabilize. We adapt. We overcome. We survive." He smiled, and Veltar saw something in that expression that terrified him. "And when we're threatened, we become very, very dangerous." The security team burst through the doorway, 6 heavily armed Kethmaran soldiers in full combat armor. They raised their weapons, energy cells charging with high-pitched whines. Tom assessed the situation in milliseconds, his enhanced mind processing angles, distances, and threat levels with computer-like precision. What happened next lasted less than 10 seconds. Tom moved like liquid lightning, his enhanced reflexes making the aliens seem to be moving through thick syrup. He rolled under the first energy blast, came up behind the nearest soldier, and struck him in a nerve cluster that his somehow enhanced knowledge told him would cause immediate paralysis. The alien dropped without a sound. The second soldier spun to track him, but Tom was already moving again, using the fallen alien's body as a shield while he closed the distance. His hand struck out with surgical precision, hitting pressure points that shut down the soldier's nervous system. 2 down. The remaining 4 fired simultaneously, but Tom was no longer where they expected him to be. His enhanced muscles launched him up and over their heads in a leap that should have been impossible for a human. He landed behind them, struck twice more, and suddenly there were only 2 aliens left standing. These last 2 were smarter, backing away while maintaining their firing lines. But Tom's enhanced senses could predict their movements by reading their muscle tension and breathing patterns. He feinted left, rolled right, and took them down with moves that combined brutal efficiency with an almost artistic grace. In the sudden silence, Tom stood among the unconscious aliens, not even breathing. Hard. Veltar cowered against the wall, his scientific mind struggling to process what he had witnessed. "Impossible," the alien whispered. "No single being should be capable of such coordinated combat efficiency." Tom walked over to Lisa and Bill's containment pods, his enhanced hearing confirming they were still alive but unconscious. "You're right," he said without looking at Veltar. "No single being should be. But you see, that's the thing about humans. We're not just individuals. We're part of something bigger." He finally turned to face the terrified scientist. "And you, Just gave one of us the tools to protect the others. The ship's alarm began to wail, red lights flashing throughout the corridors. Tom smiled again, and this time Veltar knew with absolute certainty that he had made the worst mistake of his very long life. The alarm's wailing echoed through the research vessel as Tom worked quickly to free his fellow captives. His enhanced senses allowed him to understand the alien technology intuitively, patterns and connections becoming clear that would have been impossible for him to grasp just days before. With careful precision, he began the revival process for Lisa and Bill. Dr. Veltar remained pressed against the wall, his forearms trembling as he watched the human work. "You don't understand the complexity of the revival systems," he chittered, nervously. "One mistake could kill them." Tom's fingers moved across the alien interface with growing confidence. "That's the beautiful thing about your little enhancement serum," he said without looking up. "I'm understanding things I should never be able to understand, learning at a rate that shouldn't be possible." The containment pod's seals hissed open, and Lisa began to stir. "Tell me, what exactly did you put in that compound?" "Genetic material from apex predators across 7 different worlds," Veltar admitted, his scientific curiosity warring with his terror. "Enhanced with adaptive nanotechnology, designed to accelerate evolutionary processes. It was meant to unlock dormant potential in primitive species." Lisa's eyes fluttered open, and immediately Tom could see the same heightened awareness that he had experienced. Her pupils dilated as they adjusted to her new sensory capabilities, and she sat up with fluid grace that hadn't been there before. "Tom," she whispered, her voice carrying undertones of confusion and wonder, "I feel different. Everything is so clear, so vivid. I can hear the ship's engines, the circulation systems, even the electrical flow through the walls. Welcome." "To the new you," Tom said grimly, moving to Bill's pod. "Our friend here decided to give us a little upgrade." As Bill's revival process began, Veltar noticed something that sent ice through his circulatory system. The 2 conscious humans were communicating with more than just words. Subtle body language, microscopic facial expressions, even breathing. Patterns seemed to be conveying complex information between them. They were developing their own enhanced communication system in real time. "Fascinating," Bill murmured as he awakened, his aged body moving with newfound strength and coordination. "The serum isn't just enhancing us individually, it's optimizing us for group cooperation." He looked directly at Veltar, with eyes that held decades of military experience, now backed by superhuman perception. "You picked the wrong species to experiment on, bug." The ship shuddered suddenly, and Tom's enhanced hearing picked up the sound of docking clamps engaging. "Looks like we have company," he said, his head tilted as he listened to the vibrations through the hull. "Multiple ships. Large ones." Veltar's mandibles clicked in relief. "The Kethmaran research fleet. They've come to contain the situation." He straightened, some of his confidence returning. "You may have overcome a few guards, but you cannot defeat an entire fleet of trained soldiers." Lisa laughed, the sound somehow both beautiful and terrifying. "You still don't get it, do you?" She stood, her movements predatorily graceful. "You didn't just enhance 3 random humans. You created a prototype for what our entire species could become." "But the serum can only affect those who have been directly injected," Veltar protested. "The modifications aren't transmissible through normal biological processes." Bill smiled, and the expression made the alien take another step backward. "That might be true for other species, but humans have something you didn't account for." He tapped his temple with one finger. "We learn, we adapt, we share knowledge." The 3 humans moved toward the laboratory's main console, their coordination perfect, despite never having worked together before. Tom began accessing the ship's communication systems, while Lisa downloaded the serum's complete formula, and Bill studied the vessel's defensive capabilities. "What are you doing?" Veltar demanded, though he was afraid he already knew the answer. "Sending a message home," Tom replied, his fingers flying across the alien interface. "See, that's the thing about humans you should have researched before you started experimenting on us. We're not just individuals. We're part of a collective consciousness called civilization." Lisa held up a data storage device, the complete Formula for the enhancement serum now copied and encrypted. Every human achievement, every advancement, every discovery gets shared with the entire species. That's how we went from living in caves to traveling between stars in just a few thousand years. Bill was accessing the ship's sensor array, mapping the positions of the approaching Kethmaran fleet. And when one of us is threatened, all of us respond. He turned to Veltar with cold military precision. You kidnapped 3 humans and experimented on them without consent. In our culture, that's called an act of war. The communication console chirped as Tom established a quantum entanglement link with Earth's defense networks. The transmission would take several hours to reach home, but when it did, it would carry complete specifications for replicating the enhancement serum, detailed intelligence about Kethmaran technology, and a very clear message about what had happened to the 3 missing humans. "You're making a mistake," Veltar whispered, finally understanding the full scope of what he had unleashed. "The Galactic Council maintains peace through careful balance. If humanity becomes enhanced on a species-wide level, the balance shifts," Lisa finished. "Yes, we've considered that." She looked at her companions, and Veltar saw something pass between them that transcended normal communication. "The question is, did you really think you could experiment on humans and expect us to just accept it?" The ship shuddered again as docking procedures completed. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors as Kethmaran soldiers began boarding the research vessel. But Tom, Lisa, and Bill stood calmly in the center of the laboratory, showing no fear. They had work to do. Commander Zethran led his elite strike force through the corridors of the research vessel, confident that containing 3 primitive humans would be a simple matter. His troops moved in perfect formation, their advanced combat suits gleaming under the ship's emergency lighting. Each soldier carried weapons capable of stunning or killing targets, much larger and more dangerous than baseline humans. What they found in the laboratory defied all expectations. Dr. Veltar cowered in one corner, while 3 humans stood calmly. In the center of the room, surrounded by the unconscious forms of the previous security team. The humans appeared relaxed, almost casual, but something in their posture made Zethran's combat instincts scream warnings. "Surrender immediately," the commander barked, his translation device converting his clicks and chittering into human speech. "You are outnumbered 20 to 1. Submit to restraint and you will not be harmed." Tom stepped forward slightly, his enhanced senses already cataloging the weapons, armor strengths, and tactical positions of every alien in the room. 20 to 1, he mused. That hardly seems fair. He paused, tilting his head as if listening to something only he could hear. "For you." Lisa moved to his left while Bill took position on his right, their coordination so perfect it seemed choreographed. But Zethran was a veteran commander, and he recognized the formation for what it was. A combat triangle designed for maximum tactical efficiency. "Impossible," Veltar whispered from his corner. "They've never trained together. They can't possibly coordinate at that level." "Fire!" Zethran commanded, and 20 energy weapons discharged simultaneously. The humans moved as one entity, their enhanced reflexes turning the world into slow motion. Tom dove left, rolled, and came up behind the equipment console. Lisa leaped impossibly high, using the laboratory's suspended equipment to swing across the room like some sort of enhanced acrobat. Bill, despite his age, moved with fluid precision that spoke of decades of combat experience, now enhanced to superhuman levels. Not a single energy blast found its target. Before the aliens could recharge their weapons, the 3 humans struck back. Tom emerged from behind his cover like a guided missile, his enhanced strength allowing him to tear through combat armor as if it were paper. Lisa descended from above, her botanist's knowledge of anatomy and physiology now backed by predatory precision as she struck nerve clusters and pressure points. Bill fought with the tactical brilliance of a career soldier, turning the aliens' superior numbers against them by creating choke points and using their own teammates as obstacles. The battle lasted less than 3 minutes. When the smoke cleared, 20 elite Kethmaran soldiers lay unconscious or groaning in pain. Not one had been killed. The humans had exercised precise control even in the midst of superhuman violence. Tom, Lisa, and Bill stood among the fallen aliens, barely breathing hard. Zethran struggled to his feet, his armor cracked and his pride shattered. What are you?" "3 days ago we were just ordinary people," Lisa replied, checking the status of the communication link Tom had established. "A construction worker, a botanist, and a retiree. Your scientist friend. Change that." Bill was already stripping weapons and equipment from the fallen soldiers, his enhanced mind immediately understanding the alien technology. "The real question is, what are we going to become?" Tom accessed the ship's main computer, his consciousness seeming to merge with the alien systems in ways that should have been impossible. "The transmission to Earth is complete," he announced. "Full specifications for the enhancement serum, detailed intelligence about Kethmaran fleet positions, and a complete tactical analysis of their military capabilities." Veltar made a sound that might have been a sob. "You've doomed us all. When your species receives that information, we'll do what humans have always done when threatened," Tom replied. "We'll adapt, we'll advance, and we'll ensure it never happens again." He turned to face the alien scientist, and Veltar saw something in his eyes that transcended mere intelligence. "Did you really think you could kidnap members of a spacefaring species and not face consequences?" Alarms began wailing throughout the ship as more Kethmoran vessels approached, but instead of showing concern, the 3 humans seemed almost pleased by the development. "More test subjects for our capabilities," Bill observed, checking the charge on his captured energy weapon. How considerate of them. Lisa had found the ship's internal communication system and was listening to the chatter between vessels. Her enhanced hearing picked up conversations that revealed the true scope of the situation. "They're not just here to contain us," she reported. "They're planning to sterilize the entire Sol system to prevent human enhancement technology from spreading." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees as the 3 humans processed this information. When they looked at each other, Zethran saw something pass between them that made his exoskeleton crawl with dread. "Genocide," Tom said quietly. "They're planning to commit genocide to cover up their illegal experimentation." "Well," Lisa said, her voice carrying a tone that would have made a great white shark nervous, "that changes things considerably." Bill was already accessing the ship's weapons systems, his enhanced mind interfacing with the alien technology as if he had designed it himself. Time to show them what enhanced humans are really capable of. Through the ship's viewports, the lights of dozens of Kethmoran warships could be seen approaching Earth's solar system. Each vessel carried enough firepower to devastate a planet, and their commanders were preparing to use it. They had no idea that they weren't hunting ordinary humans anymore. They had no idea that they had just made the worst mistake in galactic history. The counterattack was about to begin. The quantum entanglement message reached Earth's defense networks in a burst of encrypted data that immediately triggered every security protocol humanity had developed. Within minutes, the information was being analyzed by the planet's most advanced AI systems and distributed to military commands, research facilities, and government leaders across the globe. Dr. Maria Santos, head of Earth's Xenobiology Research Division, stared at her screens in disbelief as the enhancement serum's formula populated across her displays. "This is impossible," she whispered to her team. "The level of genetic integration shown here exceeds anything we thought was achievable." "The transmission includes live biometric data from the enhanced subjects," her assistant reported. "Their neural activity is off the charts. Brain function has increased by over 300%, muscle efficiency by 400%, sensory perception by unprecedented levels." General Harrison of Earth Defense Command was simultaneously reviewing the intelligence data about the approaching Kethmaran fleet. 67 warships, each one capable of planetary bombardment, he announced to his staff. "ETA to Earth orbit, 14 hours. He paused, studying the tactical information that had somehow been extracted from alien computer systems. How in hell did 3 civilians manage to gather intelligence of this quality? The answer was becoming clear as research teams around the world began synthesizing the enhancement serum. Unlike the Kethmaran scientist, who had seen humans as just another primitive species to be catalogued, Earth's researchers understood exactly what they were dealing with. The serum doesn't just enhance individual capabilities, Dr. Santos explained to the emergency council session that had been convened within hours of receiving the transmission. It's designed to unlock evolutionary potential that already exists in human DNA. We're not becoming something alien. We're becoming what we were always meant to be. President Chen leaned forward in his chair, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. What kind of timeline are we looking at for mass production? With our automated pharmaceutical facilities running at full capacity, we can have enough serum for the entire population within 8 hours, the head of Global Medical Manufacturing replied. But we've never tested anything like this on a large scale. The risks are irrelevant, General Harrison interrupted. Those alien ships aren't coming here to negotiate. According to the intelligence data, they're planning to sterilize our entire system. He stood, his jaw set with military determination. The choice isn't between safety and enhancement. It's between evolution and extinction. As the debate continued in government chambers, something remarkable was happening in research facilities around the world. Scientists who had injected themselves with the first small batches of serum were experiencing the same rapid enhancement that Tom, Lisa, and Bill had undergone. But more than that, they were discovering that their enhanced minds could connect and communicate in ways that transcended normal human interaction. Dr. Santos felt the change as her consciousness expanded, suddenly aware of the thoughts and insights of her enhanced colleagues across the globe. It wasn't telepathy exactly, but rather a kind of intuitive understanding that allowed enhanced humans to share complex ideas almost instantaneously. We're becoming networked, she realized, speaking to both her local team and the growing network of enhanced minds around the planet. Individual intelligence enhanced and connected into a collective processing power that exceeds anything we've achieved before. Within 6 hours, the first wave of enhanced humans had taken control of the planet's defense networks, manufacturing capabilities, and research facilities, not through force or coercion, but through the simple fact that their expanded consciousness allowed them to coordinate and optimize systems in ways that baseline humans couldn't match. The enhancement wasn't changing human nature. Compassion, creativity, and individual will remained intact. But it was amplifying human capabilities to levels that made previous limitations seem like distant memories. As the 8th hour approached, President Chen made the announcement that would change the course of human history. Citizens of Earth, we face an unprecedented threat. An alien species has committed acts of war against humanity through illegal experimentation and kidnapping. Their response to exposure has been to plan the complete destruction of our world and everyone on it. The broadcast reached every human on the planet as manufacturing facilities worked at impossible speeds to distribute the enhancement serum. We have been given a choice: evolve or perish. I know what humanity chooses. In deep space, aboard the Kethmoran research vessel, Tom felt the moment when the network activated. It was like being alone in a dark room and suddenly having the lights turn on to reveal thousands of friends standing beside you. The 3 enhanced humans who had started this transformation were no longer isolated individuals fighting impossible odds. They were the advanced scouts of an ascending species. Can you feel that? Lisa asked, her eyes wide with wonder as her consciousness touched the growing network of enhanced minds. Tom nodded, a smile spreading across his face as he sensed the coordinated response taking shape across human space. They're coming online, all of them. Bill was monitoring the Kethmoran fleet's communications, his enhanced abilities allowing him to decrypt their military channels in real time. The aliens are detecting energy signatures from Earth that they don't understand. Their confidence is starting to waver. Through the ship's sensors, they could see the approaching alien fleet, still hours away from Earth, but close enough now that their weapons were charging for bombardment. 67 warships carrying enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. It would have been overwhelming for the old humanity. For the new humanity, it was about to become a learning experience. The network was awake, it was connected, and it was very, very angry about what had been done to 3 of its members. The real war was about to begin. The transformation of humanity reached critical mass as the enhancement serum spread across Earth's population. In manufacturing centers from Detroit to Shanghai, production lines that had been designed for terrestrial efficiency suddenly began operating at levels that defied conventional physics. Enhanced human workers didn't just improve the systems, they transcended them. Their expanded consciousness allowing them to optimize processes in ways that seemed almost magical. Dr. Santos, now part of the growing network of enhanced minds, felt her awareness expand to encompass research facilities across the globe. "We're not just becoming smarter," she reported to the collective consciousness that was emerging. "We're becoming something entirely new. The barriers between individual and group intelligence are dissolving." In the Sol system's outer reaches, the Kethmoran fleet maintained its approach vector toward Earth, but Commander Zethran's confidence was beginning to waver. His sensors were detecting energy signatures from the human homeworld that made no sense according to their understanding of primitive species development. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet. It's unusual." The message that reached the alien fleet wasn't transmitted through normal channels. Instead, it seemed to emerge directly from the quantum foam of space itself, utilizing principles of physics that the Kethmoran had theorized but never successfully implemented. The voice that spoke was simultaneously one person and billions, individual yet collective. "Attention, Kethmoran fleet. This is humanity speaking." Commander Zethran felt his exoskeleton crawl at the impossible nature of the transmission. "That's not possible. No species can achieve quantum-level communication without centuries of technological development." The voice continued, carrying undertones of vast intelligence and barely contained power. "You have committed acts of war against our species through kidnapping and illegal experimentation. Your response to exposure has been to plan genocide. This aggression will not be tolerated." On Earth, the enhanced human network was working with a coordination that transcended anything previously achieved in human history. Every enhanced mind contributed its unique perspective and capabilities to the collective effort, creating a problem-solving capability that existed beyond the sum of its parts. "The alien ships use a quantum resonance drive system," one part of the network observed. "If we can generate a matching frequency, we can disrupt their propulsion without causing casualties." Another part continued seamlessly. "The enhanced botanical knowledge suggests using harmonic interference patterns. Military tactical analysis indicates optimal targeting solutions for non-lethal system disruption," a third section added. Bill, still aboard the Kethmoran research vessel, felt the network's consciousness flow through him as he interfaced with the alien ship's systems. His enhanced abilities allowed him to not just understand the technology, but to improve upon it in real time. "I can give you access to their entire fleet's technical specifications," he communicated to the network. Tom and Lisa worked in perfect coordination, their individual skills now amplified by the collective intelligence of their enhanced species. Tom's construction experience, enhanced to superhuman levels, allowed him to understand structural weaknesses in alien technology, while Lisa's botanical knowledge provided insights into biological systems that could be applied to technological problems. "Dr. Veltar," Tom said, turning to the cowering alien scientist, "you made one critical error in your calculations." The Kethmoran researcher looked up with his compound eyes, mandibles clicking nervously. "What error?" "You assumed that enhancing humans would just make us better individuals," Lisa replied, her consciousness now connected to billions of enhanced minds. "You didn't realize that human strength has never been individual. It's collective." Through the ship's communication systems, they could hear the growing panic in the Kethmoran fleet as impossible things began happening around them. Ship systems that had functioned perfectly for centuries suddenly developed glitches that seemed almost intelligent in their precision. Navigation computers began reporting false readings. Weapon systems powered down for no apparent reason. "What's happening to our fleet?" Veltar whispered, monitoring the communications channels. "We're happening," Bill replied with grim satisfaction. "Every enhanced human mind on Earth is contributing to this effort. Mathematicians are calculating optimal disruption frequencies. Engineers are identifying critical system vulnerabilities. Physicists are manipulating quantum fields in ways your species never imagined possible. The first Kethmoran warship lost propulsion as its quantum drives fell out of resonance with space-time itself. The ship didn't explode or suffer catastrophic damage, it simply stopped dead in space, its crew unharmed but completely helpless. Impossible! Commander Zethran gasped as his own ship began experiencing similar difficulties. No species can achieve this level of technological coordination without millennia of development. The collective voice of humanity responded directly to his thoughts, the quantum communication reaching into his mind with gentle but inexorable precision. You're correct. No species can achieve this through normal development. But you didn't just encounter a normal species, Commander. You encountered humanity. And when you threatened us with extinction, you forced us to become something more than we were. One by one, the ships of the Kethmoran fleet found themselves disabled, their crews unharmed, but their vessels completely under the control of enhanced human consciousness. The fleet that had come to commit genocide found itself captured without a single shot being fired in anger. On Earth, President Chen addressed the world as the last alien ship fell under human control. Citizens of Earth, the immediate threat has been neutralized, but this is not an ending. This is a beginning. The enhanced human network pulsed with shared understanding and purpose. They had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious but transformed into something greater than the sum of their individual parts. In the depths of space, Tom, Lisa, and Bill stood in the laboratory where their transformation had begun, no longer just three individuals, but part of something vast and wonderful and terrifyingly powerful. The age of baseline humanity was over. The age of ascended humanity had begun. 6 months after what historians would later call the Kethmoran incident, the transformed human civilization had spread throughout the Sol system with a speed that defied all previous models of expansion. Enhanced human minds, working in perfect coordination with quantum-level communication networks, had solved engineering problems that should have taken decades in a matter of days. Mars, once a barren red planet that humanity had barely managed to visit, now hosted thriving colonies of enhanced humans who had terraformed vast sections of its surface using biotechnology that merged Lisa's botanical expertise with the collective intelligence of millions. The enhanced colonists didn't just survive in the Martian environment, they transformed it, creating ecosystems that had never existed in nature but functioned with perfect efficiency. Tom found himself overseeing the construction of the first interstellar vessel designed by ascended humanity. The massive ship, christened New Horizon, incorporated technology that seamlessly blended human ingenuity with innovations extracted from the captured Kethmoran fleet. But more than that, it was designed to house and support enhanced human consciousness in ways that would have seemed impossible just months before. The quantum resonance chambers will allow the crew to maintain connection with the Earth network across interstellar distances, he explained to the assembled construction teams, his enhanced consciousness simultaneously coordinating dozens of different construction projects across the solar system. We won't just be exploring space, we'll be extending human awareness into the galaxy. On Earth, Dr. Santos had become the de facto leader of the Enhanced Human Research Collective, a role that emerged naturally from her position at the center of the scientific network, rather than through any formal appointment. The old governmental structures still existed, but they had evolved to accommodate the reality of a species whose individual intelligence was enhanced and whose collective consciousness could solve problems that no single mind could comprehend. The Galactic Council has been sending diplomatic overtures for weeks, she reported to the network during one of their daily coordination sessions. They want to understand what humanity has become and whether we pose a threat to galactic stability. The response came from the collective consciousness, speaking through thousands of voices in perfect harmony. We pose a threat to those who would harm innocent beings through illegal experimentation and genocide. To those who seek peaceful coexistence, we offer cooperation and mutual advancement. Bill, his military experience now enhanced and connected to the strategic thinking of every enhanced human on Earth, had become the primary architect of humanity's defense strategy. The captured Kethmoran fleet has provided us with detailed intelligence about galactic military capabilities, he reported. Most species rely on individual excellence rather than collective coordination. That gives us a significant tactical advantage. But the most remarkable change was in the enhanced humans themselves. The network hadn't diminished their individuality or creativity. If anything, it had amplified these qualities by allowing each person to contribute their unique perspective to challenges that affected the entire species. Artists created works that incorporated the aesthetic sensibilities of millions. Scientists made discoveries by building on insights shared across the collective consciousness. Engineers designed systems that seamlessly integrated solutions from every field of human knowledge. Dr. Veltar, who had been allowed to remain on Earth to study the transformation he had inadvertently triggered, watched the changes with a mixture of scientific fascination and existential terror. "This shouldn't be possible," he muttered to himself as he observed enhanced humans working on projects that spanned multiple star systems simultaneously. No species develops this rapidly. No consciousness should be able to coordinate at this level. Lisa, who had become something like a liaison between the enhanced human network and their alien guest, smiled at his confusion. "That's because you're still thinking in terms of individual development," she explained. "Humanity has never been about individual achievement. We've always been a collective species, even before the enhancement. We just needed the right catalyst to unlock our true potential." The alien scientist's mandibles clicked nervously. "But the implications, if this transformation spreads to other species, if the techniques are shared, the galaxy becomes a better place," Tom interjected, his consciousness simultaneously present in the conversation and overseeing the launch of 3 new exploration vessels. The Kethmoran weren't the only species engaging in illegal experimentation. "Our network has identified 17 different civilizations that have been abducting and experimenting on sentient beings. That ends now." As if to demonstrate his point, the quantum communication network carried news from the outer system. The first enhanced human diplomatic mission had just made contact with the Vegan colonies, a peaceful species that had been victims of Kethmoran experimentation for over a century. The enhanced humans had offered to share their transformation technology freely, with one condition: it could only be used for peaceful purposes and mutual advancement. "The Vegans have accepted," the network reported through thousands of voices. "Their first volunteers are undergoing enhancement now. Initial results show successful integration with modifications appropriate to their physiology." Veltar's exoskeleton shuddered. "You're creating a cascade effect. Enhanced species will enhance other species, and the enhancement will spread throughout the galaxy." "Exactly," Bill confirmed, his strategic mind already calculating the long-term implications. "Within a generation, perhaps 2, the entire galaxy will be populated by enhanced, interconnected consciousnesses working together for mutual benefit. Wars will become impossible because every species will understand the perspectives of every other species. Resource conflicts will disappear because enhanced minds can find solutions that benefit everyone." "You're describing the end of natural evolution," Veltar protested. "The end of species competition and individual advancement." Maria Santos, her consciousness now spanning research facilities across dozens of worlds, materialized as a hologram in the conversation. "Evolution doesn't end, Doctor. It transcends. We're not destroying what makes each species unique. We're amplifying it and connecting it to something greater." Through the quantum network, they could feel the first stirrings of consciousness from the newly enhanced vegans. The experience was like hearing a new voice join a cosmic choir, adding harmonies that had never existed before while maintaining its own distinct musical identity. "The Galactic Council is calling an emergency session," the network reported. "They want to discuss what they're calling the human contamination scenario." Tom laughed, a sound that carried the joy of billions of enhanced minds. Contamination, as if cooperation and mutual understanding were a disease. To species that have built their civilizations on competition and domination, perhaps it is, Lisa observed. Her enhanced botanical knowledge now extended to understanding the ecological relationships between entire civilizations, and she could see patterns of galactic development that had remained hidden for millennia. "The Council wants to contain us," Bill reported, his strategic consciousness analyzing diplomatic communications from across the galaxy. "Some species are calling for military action to prevent the spread of enhancement technology." The response came from the collective consciousness, speaking through every enhanced human simultaneously. Let them try. But even as they spoke those words, the network was already reaching out to species across the galaxy, offering partnership instead of domination, cooperation instead of conquest. The enhancement technology was being freely shared with any civilization that committed to using it for peaceful purposes. Within hours, 3 more species had made contact, seeking transformation. The ripple effect that Veltar feared was not just beginning, it was accelerating beyond anyone's ability to stop it. "What have I done?" the alien scientist whispered, finally understanding the true scope of the changes he had triggered. "You've given the galaxy a chance to evolve beyond its limitations," Tom replied. "You've accidentally created the foundation for a truly cooperative galactic civilization." "And if we're very lucky," Lisa added with a smile that contained the warmth of an entire enhanced species, "you've saved the universe from the destructive cycle of competition and conflict that has limited sentient development for millions of years." The New Horizon launched from Earth orbit, carrying the first enhanced human crew toward distant stars. Aboard the ship, the collective consciousness of ascended humanity reached out across the void, seeking new voices to join the growing chorus of interconnected minds. Dr. Veltar watched the ship disappear into hyperspace, finally understanding that his attempt to catalogue and control humanity had instead unleashed something that would transform the galaxy forever. The age of isolated species and individual consciousness was ending. The age of universal enhancement and collective wisdom had begun, and somewhere in the quantum foam that connected all enhanced minds across the galaxy, the first stirrings of something even greater were beginning to emerge. A consciousness that spanned not just species and worlds, but perhaps entire galaxies working together toward goals that transcended anything any individual mind could comprehend. Humanity had been enhanced by accident, but the enhancement of the universe was just beginning. The end